What is going on, everyone? I just wanted to make a quick update video on the Truggy. Maybe I'll talk about the buggy a little bit, but the Truggy had seemed to taken most of the damage this year, other than breaking buggy arms on Billy there early in the year. But so far this year, went through 2 ESCs, the Hobbywing XR8 Pros. Yeah, both were on the Truggy when that happened. Also, might be kind of hard to see here, but if you look down here in the front, you can kind of see how worn out. This is basically worn out right to where the A block sits, and then you can kind of see how it's thicker here. So let me flip it over also, you can probably see it a little bit better. Yeah, there's supposed to be, well, the chassis protector's kind of in the way there, but there is a groove. You can kind of see it here that the bumper sits into. Well, it's completely smooth here on the one side, so I mean, I could still obviously run this, but I would like to have it nice and solid. I don't want it eventually to go right through this, start going through the A block. So I did have these chassis protectors on from, I think it was Sumo Racing. Yeah, I should have kept more of an eye on it because it's obviously so worn out here in the front. It's supposed to be out to about here. And also, one of the main problems too, even though I never broke off any of these bumpers, I just never realized, you can see how it's missing a whole chunk there compared to a brand new one, which is perfectly straight across. So I have to end up just checking on these bumpers a lot more, and every time they start wearing out on the edge here, just replace them. So that, you know, it's $7 for like 2 of these compared to 100 whatever for the chassis. So next year, be keeping a closer eye on that. I'll be buying more of these because I really did like, you can kind of see how paper thin it went down to compared to how thick it was over here. And same with the rear. No problems with the rear, actually. This is the back side of the very end of the chassis. Basically almost wore all the way through there. And you can kind of see how thick it is up here at the front. So these are actually really handy. You can get stainless steel or aluminum. So I got the stainless steel ones because I figured obviously the aluminum's not gonna last as long. But I'm gonna have to order a couple more sets of these and just keep an eye on them, and then maybe change it halfway through the season. But yeah, that was actually surprised how long that actually really lasted, because the new Tekno ones, you basically break off the front bumper piece in like the first run almost. But I do have those as well. Just in case these wore out, I was like, oh, I'll just use the Tekno ones, but never really had a chance this year, and I really didn't pay that much attention to the front. The buggy is actually the same as this, but not as bad. So I may get the M2C chassis for them, because you can no longer buy a 2.0 Tekno chassis, at least from A-Main. They did have them on sale because the 2.1 came out, but yet now it's just not a part anymore they sell. So I may get the Tekno chassis, because you can kind of see over here this leading edge is kind of taking a beating as well. The rest of the chassis is good. It's just the whole front here, and that's what I was saying, probably from that big jump. We were doing a lot of like nose diving into the ground almost, so that should hopefully fix that problem. The other problem I had basically with the Truggy, other than stuff, just normal stuff wearing out, arms getting all like ovaled in the hole, in the pinholes here. So putting all new arms on it. I put new bearings, new drive shafts, because even the front drive shafts were getting really worn out there. So put new ones on the front. I have one new one for the rear. I am going to put in, like, order another set for the rear as well, and just fully rebuild them, because even the pins are just completely destroyed, which I should have taken apart more. I know now for next year, just to keep an eye on it a little bit better. Even the 4mm hexes, and kind of, hopefully you can see it there, but like the edge where the wheel actually rides has been rounded down a bit. So I did order a new set of those as well, put those on. But the biggest problem I had was these Hobbywing ESCs. both XR8 Pros. This one, I'm pretty sure was from a crash. I don't know what happened earlier in the year. But, you know, when it gives you the 4 blinks or 4 tones for 4S, this one blinks about 25 times. And then then you can actually give it trigger and it sends power to the motor. But just like pulling the trigger down, I don't know, a couple millimeters, it just goes full power. So there was no controlling that. That one was done. Got this one. Had a crazy tumble down the straightaway on the last setup of Otterville. And then this one would just not send power out to the motor. So I have to actually take it apart, look inside, see if there's anything messed up with it. But you turn it on, it flashes normal, it shows throttle input, but doesn't send anything out to the motor. Like, doesn't even do the beeping noise through the motor when you turn it on, but it does do the blinking for the 4S. Also, when you do give it throttle, it shows it, but let's say you hold it for a while, play with it back and forth, it would actually reset back into the 4, like as if you turned it on and off again. So I don't know, there's not many videos about problems with these or things that people have had problems with, but that was basically, yeah, I don't know. My whole tire budget was basically right here in these 2 ESCs. So I don't know after this one, I do have another one in here. I don't know if after this one goes or something happens to this, I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe try and maybe go Tekin or something. I would like to go to Tekin Motors for the Truggy. I did go through 3 Hobbywing motors this year, the Gen 3s. Basically, I don't have them here, but where the rotor sits on the front bearing, the rotor would wear out a lot. And then the rotor would just basically be smashing around in there. And you cannot buy replacement rotors from Hobbywing. Don't know why, but you can't. So Tekin, you can buy all the parts for it, rebuild the whole thing. So I would like to go with those next year, Truggy and Buggy. I did buy a used one from someone I know at the track there. And this is the 1st gen. I had no problems with it in the Buggy. So, and he had put a new rotor in it before I got it. So that was nice. And I do have one on order coming just as a spare, just in case this starts happening more. So I don't know if it was all the big jumps and all the hard landings that basically took them out, because other people there had the same problems I did. So hopefully next year we'll see what happens with that. But for now, if I get the Tekin motors, we're going to switch them out and keep the Hobbywings as spares. And then I don't know what chassis I want to do, the Tekno or the M2C ones, but that's why I'm just kind of rebuilding the front, and then I'm going to rebuild the rear. Also need to change out the outdrives there in the rear. Fronts aren't too bad, so I may keep them, but for sure we're going to change out the rear ones there. Still have to replace the arms. There's the new ones, old ones over there. But yeah, it's kind of a mess everywhere here. But I've done it enough times, I already know where everything goes. So yeah, we'll just see how that goes. Maybe I'll also make a video on the Buggy. Or no, maybe I'll just do a little quick update. Like, of course I'm going to change all the arms on it. So, but the chassis itself, you can kind of see there's the edge I was talking about that should be on the Truggy as well. And it is getting a little worn down on the edges there, because same as the Truggy, I did have the chassis protectors on there. And you can tell this one held up a little bit better on the front. So just missing the edge, and that's where the edge of the chassis were wearing down right here where it's missing. So, I mean, that one is still good. But if I am ordering a new chassis for this, I mean, I would like to get another chassis for the Buggy, but I don't know, should I just buy the 2.1 and eventually convert it over piece by piece? Or should I just get the MTC one, the Racing 3mm one, and try that out? So, I don't know. We'll see how that ends up going. I am going to buy more of these for the Buggy as well. Exact same for the Truggy. If you do go on their website and they say the Truggy is different than the Buggy, they are correct. So this was the one off the Truggy. This is original. I bought 2 Truggies because I just figured, you know, the chassis is the same. Well, yeah, no, it's not. So you can kind of see there the difference in the winglets, I guess, off the side for the droop screws. So I bought the truggy one. I just basically outlined the chassis and cut it down, ground it, so made it fit myself. So, I mean, even if you did mess up and get it, you could still make it work. But I am going to order the buggies and the truggy ones, put those on the chassis, order a couple of them so I have extras. This way, if I do get the 3mm racing chassis, if I keep up on this, it shouldn't be wearing it out. So the bottom's not too bad at all from the truggy and the buggy, because I've measured along the edges there to see how thick it still is, and not a problem. Could definitely go another year or two with it, but I'm just more worried about the front here completely worn out, and probably just gonna end up replacing them, keeping these as backups in case something happens to those. And yeah, just gonna get back to fixing everything here, putting it all back together, rebuild all the shocks, rebuild all the diffs, like change all the fluids out of them, and that's about it. So I know it may have been a little bit longer video, but there's a lot here. And I mean, there still is more I could obviously talk about, but we'll save that, I guess, for another video. So thanks for watching.